Hello everyone and welcome back to round 8 of the F1 2000 career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live from La Castellet, I would highly recommend going back and check it out. But yeah, today we return to the Styrian Mountains here. We've made it to the halfway stage of the season, and I tell you what, we're still doing better than I thought we would be at the start of the campaign. Jacques Villeneuve leads the way, but 4 points in it between him, Pedro Dela Rosa, and myself there. Williams, yeah, they've got a bit of a buffer in the Constructors' Championship. They might be on for their first title since 1997, but Ferrari and BAR still in hot pursuit. Arrows still in P5, ahead of the likes of Jaguar and Sauber as well, which I just think is absolutely incredible as well there. But yeah, the last race at La Castellet, we took a bit of a strategy gamble, and it actually paid off for me. We ended up coming P3 when sensibly the car was probably better paced for kind of a 6th or 7th place finish. So, especially around, you know, the likes of Austria and Silverstone in the next couple of races, we need to try and throw caution to the wind as best as we can and continue trying to pick up those big results. If you're new around here, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well. And yeah, let's return then here to the Styrian Mountains. Well, I must admit, I do love coming back to Austria with this mod, because of course, yeah, this circuit was obviously on the calendar back in the early 2000s, and then took quite a hiatus for a fair few years before it finally returned with the start of the Turbo Hybrid era in 2014. However, yeah, like I mentioned, not so looking forward to the lack of straight line speed in the car this weekend, although the worst of that might come on Saturday. Changeable conditions predicted on Sunday afternoon. The opening 4 Grand Prix were absolute chaos because of it. But since then, the last couple of races have been a little bit calmer. So it looks like we're resuming kind of the madness of the start of the season this time out here in the Styrian Mountains. But of course, only time will tell there, as Michael Schumacher still yet to get a race victory this year. It has only been Villeneuve, Pedro Dela Rosa and myself that have got wins on the board. Could the German finally get back to the top step of the podium and finally end his championship hangover season that has happened so far? I mean, he's going to need a miracle if he wants to get back in the title fight by the end of the year, as horrible lines through the final couple of corners. Go back and watch some Austria hot laps from back then. That was the line you were allowed to take, but we end up in 8th place yet again. Well, there we go. McLaren Mercedes back in the fight once again. They're DC getting onto that front row alongside Michael Schumacher, with either the other McLaren and the Ferrari in P3 and P4 there. Herbert once again gets the better of me in qualifying. He always seems to do so, but we usually will end up ahead of him in the race. Looks like Villeneuve and Wirtz, they're struggling a bit in that Williams as well. Just 0.06 of a second between myself and Wirtz. But yeah, anything can happen in the Grand Prix, so let's just get on with it.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. The grandstands were a sea of red in 2019 thanks to the commemorative hats in honour of the late great Niki Lauda, who took home victory of course back in 1984. And it's a sellout crowd once again here today. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 rights and 3 lefts, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Well, anything can happen here in Austria, and the story even more so in changeable conditions. Looks like the rain is meant to hang on quite the way into the GP, and of course with no intermediate tyres back in the early 2000s, that is going to make life very, very tricky as well there. So looking after the tyres is going to be really important, because you might find later on in the afternoon you haven't got any spare sets to try and get to the checkered flag. We're going to have to opt for a fair bit of spare fuel as well. Don't want to end up in a situation where we're running out before the end of the GP. But let's do this thing, though. It's time for the Austrian Grand Prix. We've got a couple of grid penalties coming in, so we're up to 6. It is 5 red lights. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go there as Michael Schumacher will lead the way down towards someone. It was Dela Rosa and Johnny Herbert that took some grid penalties there. As, we've got to be careful. There's a car trying to look around my outside down at turn 1 as both Williams will go side by side with Hakkinen of that first corner, and we'll try and get the power down, and we've instantly got a safety car. Of course we do. No one's out, though, with the race, so I don't know what's happened. Well, the only thing I can really see that's gone on is one of the Minardis there just ran into the back of Herbert down towards someone. That kicked up a little bit of front wing that I think got collected by the car behind. And apparently, yeah, that's the only thing I can see that brought out the safety car here. Well, my best guess is that the FIA wanted to get this race going, but weren't too sure just how bad the conditions were going to be, so they've allowed us all to get a few sighter laps in now, as Michael Schumacher will lead the way down through the final couple of corners on this restart, and I think we are about to go green flag racing once again then. Circuit still feels very, very slippery, and I tell you what, I'm happy I'm in one of the cars with traction control. A couple of the back market teams don't have any, as for some reason already not Jan Magnussen, even Johnny Herbert is going to peel into the pit lane there, so not too sure what's happened to our teammate. Has forced him already in for a very early stop, but yeah, luckily, of course, obviously, yeah, with all those laps behind the safety car, it means we've been able to look after the tyres a little bit more there as down the inside of Coulthard. I genuinely wasn't trying to go for that one, as Heinz-Harald Frentzen might say thank you very much on the exit as well there. So yeah, Hakkinen just dropping down a couple of spots then off of the restart. You can immediately see when you drop away from the cars just a little bit more how much better the spray is. Now the other McLaren making a little bit of a mistake down towards turn 4. I mean, everybody at the moment, you're just trying to keep the car on the island. But Michael Schumacher, he's not called the Rainmeister for nothing. Just starting to inch away a little bit. With conditions like these in the early laps, we're really going to have to try and lean on these separate engine modes to try and extract pace out of the car. Oh, that's a big lockup down towards turn 1. I mean, you used to be able to run out wide here, but Hakkinen will say thank you very much on the exit the corner. But yeah, we're going to try and use first gear on the exits. Mix 1 even on the exits, as I've got no idea what's going on with Johnny Herbert here. That's, I think, the second or third time he's pit already in this GP. But yeah, really, really struggling to try and find traction in this car at the moment. But yeah, we'll just use that lean revs off the corner, and then once we get up into about 5th gear, we'll flick it all the way up into the rich revs there. As you can see, Villeneuve trying to apply pressure to Coulthard. I wonder whether McLaren once again are going to run into fuel issues by the end of this. Well, I tell you what, we need to get the popcorn out at the moment, because Jacques Villeneuve and David Coulthard, they're putting on a show early on in this GP. Of course, our teammates back into the pit lane yet again. Here is all Hakkinen. Oh, a little bit of a wobble there by the McLaren. Or just about sneak back around the outside of him there. And once again, Hakkinen, we saw it back at Monaco. He was one of the only drivers to actually retire from that Grand Prix. That McLaren is such a handful. It's quick, but it's so difficult to try and extract pace out of. Well, after the opening few laps of craziness here, things are just starting to calm down as we get to 1/4 distance. One thing I hadn't really kind of remembered was, of course, Pedro Dela Rosa, just a couple of positions behind me here. He's on a bit of a tear, trying to close back in on Mika Hakkinen, so he's made really good progress, despite that, obviously, safety car in the early laps there. But Schumacher at the front of the field, coming under a little bit more pressure from Villeneuve as well, as we almost completely take both myself and Alex Wurz out of the Grand Prix. There was not much space there. We've got yellows, Someone's gone off. Is that Johnny Herbert trying to get out of the way? No, he's into the pit lane again. He's genuinely doing that every single lap, so I got no idea what's going on with him. I can only assume he's got a little bit confused by the amount of tyres he's got. But hopefully that isn't going to affect us later on in the day. Weirdly as well, was again almost into the back of Wurz down at turn 1 that time. Yeah, the tyre wear nowhere near as bad as it was in the opening couple of races, so not too sure what's changed with them. I guess it works nicely for me though, because the rain is definitely getting less and less. I mean, we've spoken about it before, but this mod, the AI, the cars even, I should say, so difficult to drive in the changeable conditions. You really do feel like you're dancing with them. It is so much fun when you get it hooked up there, as Dela Rosa, a second and a half quicker than me that last lap. Oh, we just nicked the curb though through turn 1, and that might give Dela Rosa an invitation in that Ferrari as we make our way out of the first corner there. There we go. And yep, the Spaniard, of course, second, well, tying the championship with him. I was hoping we could try and put Wirtz between myself and the Ferrari, but definitely still quick through the second half of the lap. But it's so difficult to get it hooked up, and you can just see that Ferrari's traction control is something else there. That thing's so much more stable than any other car going round. Dela Rosa again, he might look for a move on Wirtz into turn 1. No, thinks better of that one. We'll definitely get the run on him though up that hill. Ferrari have got a little bit more straight line speed than Williams still this year. It is just that Williams car is a much better all-round package. Are we going to see Dela Rosa? He's going to look one way. He's going to try and move to the inside line of the Austrian. Of course, Alex Wirtz, home Grand Prix this weekend. And maybe we can try and capitalise on the exit as well. Not quite able to put that power down again there. We're just stuck staring at the compact logo on the back of that Williams. But we've got the pace. We cannot afford to watch Dela Rosa just romp away. Well, around the outside of Wirtz there. Surely not, no. Nowhere near enough grip, and you just get on the wet line. It really does unsettle the rear end of the car as well. Say, so happy we've got traction control. I cannot imagine. I mean, I know obviously we did a couple of wet races in those older cars, but yeah, they were an absolute handful and so difficult to try and extract any kind of pace off us this time round. We might be able to get the run on Wirtz. He's going to go defensive in towards turn 1, much later on the brakes, and around the outside we'll go. Try and get the car straightened up on the exit of the corner there. We might still be under pressure. As Michael Schumacher, yeah, still leading the way at the front. I've got no idea what the gap between him and Villeneuve will be. Wirtz, though, tries to go all the way back around the outside, but we will say absolutely not. Up at the top of the hill, they get the car parked on that apex, and hopefully now we're going to be safely through. And although Dela Rosa's got the pace over me, maybe we can challenge David Coulthard there. As I mean, Wirtz still hasn't given up on this, though. Trying to use that Williams straight line speed, but not enough. Well, Coulthard now really getting his elbows out with Pedro Dela Rosa, but I think it's going to be too little too late there. The Ferrari clean around the outside of that McLaren car, and once again, it looks like their qualifying pace has really improved recently. But they still haven't got enough in the races there as well. Dive it down the inside of DC as well. I'm sure the Scot not particularly too happy with that aggressive move. See, bad memories for him here. Of course, he took Mika Hakkinen out, didn't he, on lap 1 of the Austrian Grand Prix. I think that was 1999, I want to say. Why we got yellows? Why we got yellows? Someone's gone off. I think that's Alex Wirtz has gone. No, Coulthard's pitting. False alarm. Coulthard's just in the pit. So, interesting then. AI might not be able to make it to the dry period. I absolutely will be. Oh, there we go. Dela Rosa's in. Pedro Dela Rosa's now going to dive into the pit lane as well then. So maybe the AI tyre wear not as good as our own. I mean, a lot of the upgrades we've done on this car have been focused more towards trying to make it better on its tyres there. As Villeneuve's in as well then. So's Michael Schumacher. Not anymore, it's not Mark, because we are out into the lead of the Grand Prix. That horrible line through turn 1. Let's try and ignore that for better reasons. But yeah, how far behind is Schumacher going to be then? As we've lost one of the McLarens, and now we've got a safety car. Look at this then, running on board with David Coulthard in towards the final couple of corners. Gets round one of the Jaguars. Doesn't avoid the other one, though. And that is a really, really poor error by DC. He is out of the Grand Prix. Well, I could not tell you whether that safety car has worked out well for us or not here. As the track beginning to dry up just a little bit more, we are definitely going to be making the switch over to dry tyres when I pit. It's just a case of when do we pit here. And of course, now the AI have been given an opportunity to bunch up. You know, the likes of Schumacher, Villeneuve, they're going to be on fresh tyres. So this is really, really difficult to judge. Well, I think a bit like we saw at La Castellet, we've got to take a gamble here. And that's exactly what we're going to do. From the lead of the Grand Prix, we're going to peel into the pit lane here and move over to the dry compounded tyres. That rain is clearing up pretty quickly. Oh, that is some understeer into the pit lane. Make sure we don't crash on our way in. That'd be rather embarrassing, wouldn't it? But yeah, I feel like if we do it now, obviously, hopefully not the entire field would have bunched up yet. So we might be able to gain a little bit of time over a few other runners as well there as the team try and get a dry set on. 2.9 second stop isn't bad going, as we've had quite a mix-up of the grid there. Both Saubers now running up inside the top 10. I tell you what, yeah, there is not much grip on these tyres at the moment, as we'll try and very slowly navigate our way out the pit lane, though. Back out still inside the top 10. We cannot complain about that, as get over on the dry line, you'll have a bit more grip. Oh yeah, Johnny Herbert's nightmare weekend looks to be continuing. Obviously, he hasn't been allowed to get his lap back under the safety car, so he's going to be restarting this race right in the middle of the field there, and he's going to be Schumacher that's going to lead us away. But I tell you what, we're not a million miles away from the dry compounded tyre here, so although we're probably going to lose a couple of spots on this first lap, we might then after that be able to fight here, and especially when the AI, of course, have got to pit again before this race is done and dusted. We should not be in too bad a spot there. It's trying to put the power down at the final corner. Like I said, there's no real point in us defending from absolutely anybody off of this restart too aggressively, because we just want to try and keep our car on the road. As Johnny Herbert there immediately will start letting other cars by. He's actually going to try and defend from Alex Wurz a little bit. As you can see, Hakkinen now trying to look around the outside of Jarno Trulli. What is the braking performance like? Oh, Herbert! What on earth is Johnny Herbert doing there down the inside of Hakkinen? And well, for the second time this year, Johnny just being a little bit wild and unpredictable under a during a safety car window, as he's going to finally drive out of the way for both myself and Jarno Trulli. Yeah, you can see Damon Hill desperate to try and defend as well. But I tell you what, yeah, these tyres are already finding a little bit of grip then, as we've jumped Jarno Trulli in that Sauber car. You can still see Hill trying to defend from Wurz there, but that's going to be a pretty futile exercise. His yellow flag's out further behind. I think that is just, yeah, Johnny Herbert doing Johnny Herbert things. His team now telling us we need to try and push on. So, yeah, I think we've got the grip already. I wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing AI in, which we will. Hill and Hakkinen into the pit lane here, just one lap further on. So we have timed that to absolute perfection. And now, I mean, hopefully we'll see a couple more cars in the pit lane as well, a little bit further up. As you can see, Alex Wurz stays out. Don't know who else is, but yeah, Villeneuve in, Schumacher in. So Dela Rosa now will take the lead of the Grand Prix for the first time today. But we have utilised that once again to absolute perfection here. And hopefully now, Alexander Wurz, of course, home Grand Prix. Like I said, I would like to see him get a decent result, because he has been very, very consistent so far this campaign. Took us forever to get round him early on in the GP. I don't think we're going to struggle this time round, though. As we'll try and get the power down. We're still struggling a little bit for an out-and-out grip, but yeah, we've definitely got a lot more performance at the moment. Now, the Austrian is down the inside will go. Careful not to lock up and spin. Up at a P2. And there we go, Dela Rosa as well into the pit lane at the end of that lap. So now we'll have a rough idea as to what our gap is to Michael Schumacher. There's still no guarantee we're even going to win this race, because those Ferraris are that much quicker than us at the moment. As we make our way then over the line, new fastest lap of the day. Don't think we'll leave it. Obviously, yeah, we probably won't claim that bonus point either. How far behind is Michael Schumacher here with 14 laps to go of the Austrian Grand Prix? He is 11 seconds back. Villeneuve not far behind him. I need to beat Jacques, though. Well, I tell you what then, 12 laps to go. Michael Schumacher has got the bit between his teeth. He's already taken 5 seconds out of me. So yeah, there's no chance we're going to be able to defend from him. I mean, how on earth has he done that?
2 seconds.
An 11.3 there. Meanwhile, we did a 1:14.7. What on earth is going on? Schumacher is still running nearly 2 seconds a lap faster than me. A 1:08 is a ridiculous lap time around this circuit. It's Dela Rosa, his teammate, will go even quicker. So I think Villeneuve might be under pressure from Pedro Dela Rosa by the end of this. It might depend on how much they battle. We'll kind of decide whether they can get close to us or not. But yeah, Schumacher's going to have me probably either right now or next lap. Is he going to gain enough? Not quite there. Oh, Michael Schumacher again. Having a dive up the inside there. I wasn't really expecting him to go for that. I thought he just used the straight line speed of that Ferrari to fly past me up the hill, which now you will do. Yeah, we've got to learn to pick our battles a bit more carefully towards the end of this season. Especially, you know, against someone like him that, you know, he's not in a title fight. He's not a concern at the moment in the bigger picture. Jacques Villeneuve behind, though, absolutely is. And I tell you what, this is the problem we've got at the moment. Our pace isn't actually that much worse than the likes of Villeneuve behind me. Dela Rosa, yeah, is definitely running a bit quicker, but if Jacques and I could work together to stop Ferrari getting a 1-2, that would probably be in his best interest and Williams as well. Of course, Ferrari are going to be their only real threat this season. I don't believe Johnny Herbert is either consistent or quick enough to really challenge at the top. But yeah, Schumacher just pulling away from us. Through these sets of corners, we're actually pretty much matching the Williams and the Ferrari as you would expect us to. As soon as we get out onto a straight line, though, they are closing in. Time hand over fist there as we shut the car through the final couple of corners. Oh, a little bit of a mistake as well. That won't do us any favours. Are we going to see Villeneuve get to the inside for turn 1? I mean, look at how quickly the Delta comes down. Villeneuve having a look for it. Will just get aggressive, though. He wasn't far enough alongside there to ever warrant any kind of space. But that might leave him vulnerable to Dela Rosa as well, as Pedro now trying to have a look around the outside of the Williams. We've got the 3 championship protagonists all wheel-to-wheel on the road at the moment, as Dela Rosa clean around the outside, and he will move up then into P3 of the Grand Prix. And if I wasn't going to be able to do a lot against Villeneuve, I'm not going to be able to do anything against that Ferrari. And here we go, Pedro Dela Rosa, 5 laps left of this Grand Prix. It's been a fantastic recovery drive up to this point. Down the inside, he's going to have a look there. We're not going to make it easy for him, though. We are still championship rivals at the moment, as we're desperately trying to defend the inside. And I mean, look at that. A little bit of contact between myself and Dela Rosa, as Jacques Villeneuve had tried to make it 3 wide there. So all 3 of your championship protagonists there, wheel to wheel, as we make our way up the hill. Luckily, we'll get the power down up the top there to maybe still fight with World Championship leader Jacques Villeneuve. But it's basically whoever comes out on top between us 3 today will be into the lead of the championship. And for now, it looks like Dela Rosa is going to be that man. This is the problem we've got through this middle sector. We can hang close to Jacques Villeneuve, but you get out onto a straight, like I said, and just he waltzes away from me. We feel completely powerless to try and fight with these guys at the moment. Like I said, I knew the middle length of the season was going to be really tough for us. All we can really do is just try and lose as few points as possible, as that slipstream does help us claim a new personal best. But yeah, I think at the top, though, I mean, we could be under pressure from Hakkinen towards the end, unless that McLaren runs out of fuel. But as we round the final corner then to start the last lap of the Austrian Grand Prix, safe to say, yeah, this one again, I mean, we can't really complain. A P4 finish is pretty much as good as I think we could have got, but it's so gutting, you know, when you play a blinder with the strategy, to know that you're still powerless, especially as we watch Dela Rosa and Jacques Villeneuve just inch away in the championship as well. Though I think if they end like this, which I think they will, they're going to be tied now at the top of the table. And now we've got yellow flags. That is Hakkinen behind. So I think Hakkinen behind, yep, he's running out of fuel. So another issue for McLaren as well this season. Will he even be able to hang on ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who I think also is running into issues here. So we could see a bit of a mix-up further behind towards the end of the Grand Prix. But as we round our way through the final corners, Michael Schumacher, he's had a pretty torrid first half of the campaign. This should be win number 2. He should have claimed it back at Monaco. Can we discount him out of the title fight now? Just yet, I don't know. Michael Schumacher will win the Austrian Grand Prix and become our 4th winner of the year. Dela Rosa P2, Villeneuve 3rd, and we come home in 4th.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
It was a question of right place, right time today. We were looking at an entirely different race before the safety car came out, but they were able to take full advantage after the field had been bunched up.
Ferrari are at it again, an excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there.
Well, there we go. Michael Schumacher from pole position. He will take the Grand Prix victory here in Austria. The Rainmeister is well and truly back. And Ferrari again bagging a 1-2 there. Dela Rosa, what a drive from 13th to 2nd come at the end of the GP there. Villeneuve ahead of myself with Hakkinen hanging on to 5th ahead of Jan Magnussen there. Frentzen lost that 1 spot towards the end. Verstappen in 8th ahead of Schumacher, and Jarno Trulli gets a point on the board for Sauber as well. Actually, quite a few retirements in the end. Nick Heidfeld, Damon Hill, Wirtz, Button, and David Coulthard there. So we were, well, yeah, when you factor in Johnny Herbert as well down in P15, I think we were the only Brit to do anything worthwhile this weekend there, which is quite funny. Championship-wise, it does mean now 1 point in it between Villeneuve and Dela Rosa at the front of the field. 7 points covering your top 3, though, in the table. And I tell you what, Wirtz and Schumacher, they only need a couple of big results, and they are not a million miles away from getting themselves back in the fight as well there. Hakkinen will jump Herbert with that good result as well. Jan Magnussen gets points over Damon Hill, Jean Alesi, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen as well to elevate himself up into 11th place. And now it's just Jenson Button who is yet to score points in this campaign. Williams, the gap at the top, slashed to the 6 points over Ferrari as well there, with McLaren making good progress. Jaguar jump Arrows, Jordan jump Sauber, with Benetton now ahead of Minardi as well there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the British Grand Prix.